Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Anchorage Advisory Committee. Today is Tuesday, May 27th. Let's do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Jennifer Rusk here.
Ron Fleming.
John Wesley Nash.
Sam Lurie.
Chris Riedel King.
Ted Lowell.
Ed Schoonover.
Jim Adderholt.
Curtis Ludwig.
All right, everyone is here. Public comment? I do not see anyone for public comment. We will move on to approval of the minutes, and we have a lot of them. So we will start with April 2nd, which was one of our planning meetings. Does anybody have any comments about those meetings?
I move to accept the minutes of April 2nd.
All right, do I have a second? Okay, second from Ron. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
I move to accept the minutes of April 10th.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Sam, I move to accept the minutes of April 16th.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, there we go. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Sam, I move to accept the minutes of April 22nd.
You are so on the ball, Sam. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. And any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously, and oh boy.
Sam, I move to accept the minutes of April 28th.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, thanks, Jennifer. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. There we go. All right. Curtis, would you like to do staff reports?
Yes, I would.
All righty.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody. Hope y'all had a great Memorial Day weekend. So what I have for you for staff reports right now. Right now, our main focus is it's the off season right now, so we are cleaning up the mooring balls. We've cleaned up the entire third field. Our focus now is going into the second field. Once we have openings on, once a boat leaves that spot, we know we have an opening. That's when we're going to start hitting the ones that are, occupied. That we have transit vessels on that come and go. Next on the list is we are moving forward with the boat. Our new boat. We had to wait for that boat for the vendor to get put on the GSA Advantage website. That is done. We have moved forward. We've created a PO. We are about to make payment. We're paying 50% up front and then 50% on the back end. So very, very excited about that. It's going to be a roughly 4 to 5 month build. So, but that timeline could get pushed up. Hopefully, is what I'm hearing from
John,
Mr.
do you
Scully.
have a question?
I do, Curtis. Make
Go
and
ahead.
model. Can you share the make and model?
Yes, it's a Scully. It's a 26-foot landing craft, and I can bring in a picture of that boat. So I don't know if y'all seen the debris removal boat that was working, the longer one with the twin engines. That is the boat
Oh, okay.
that we're going to be getting.
So the one we're getting is twins.
Yes, I believe so.
No horsepower.
200s, I believe, and
Oh, okay.
150s, I think. Yes.
Plenty of power. I'm sorry?
What
Yeah,
are the
plenty of power. I'm happy with it. Yes, absolutely.
Since it's a no wake zone.
Well, it's mainly for the currents and stuff like that.
What are
so.
the capabilities of the boat?
The capabilities, not that we need it, but if any certain matter, we can run beachside with that. I'll have 2 spuds on it where I can spud down to work on the systems. We'll have a winch and a davit for us to hoist the mooring balls up higher so we can clean underneath, get all the tackle underneath the rigging underneath to clean that up properly, and then also it gives us enough room for us to replace things too if we need. And I believe we are going to have a small winch on that, so any debris or bigger items we can be able to winch up. The bow of this vessel also drops down, so I can bring stuff in as well. So, and this boat is pretty much going to be our all-purpose boat. You know, the pump-out boat is under the CVA grant, so I'm limited to what I can do in that boat. And then the vessel we have, our working vessel we have now is just a glorified pontoon boat right now. So that boat's going to replace that, and we will be in that boat pretty much for, you know, and everything we do, the pump-out boat will only be for pump-outs. So,
Sounds excellent.
yeah, I'm happy about it.
Can I ask a couple of silly questions?
Go
Number
ahead.
one, does it have a trailer?
Yes, it does. Yes,
So
it
you
does.
could pull it in the parades?
Yes.
Do you
yes,
plan
we
on
can.
having it marked with the town's logo and so forth?
We are.
Do you have a
Absolutely.
name for the boat?
We do not yet.
Can we have
Should that be a matter for this committee to discuss?
Can we have a christening too?
That's another good thought.
Yeah.
We can have a christening and everything.
Lead the boat
We
parade.
can do like a little ceremony when we drop it in or whatever y'all want to do.
I would
down
challenge
for
the committee to begin to think about names, or we can reach out to the community
Yeah.
at large, or whatever.
Because this boat's going to be with the town for a long, long time. So
How about we name it Beach School?
We'll tell you after tomorrow whether that'll
We
be
get the
appropriate or
funding.
not.
Yeah.
How much does it cost, the boat?
right now it's at the quote that I just got back is $121,000.
Are there parameters for boat naming that, you know, if we wanna do some sort of a contest and throw it out to people, are there things that we should encourage? I don't know,
I mean, I
know.
think it needs to go along, you know, the lines of the mooring field and our
Yeah.
job, and then
Okay.
the town as well. So it could be, you know, multiple things to consider in naming the vessel.
So Kurt, it's not gonna be Coast Guard documented, it's gonna be a Florida State,
Yes, it's going to be a
Okay.
Florida registered vessel.
yeah. Then, to answer your question, Madam Chair, very little restrictions,
Okay,
virtually none.
okay. Alright,
With the landing capabilities, are you able to put on one of the town's golf carts, drive up on there and deliver it and take it back and forth anywhere if you needed to?
If it came down to that, yes, we could probably do that with this vessel.
Not a car, but maybe one of those carts.
Yeah. We would just have to do measurements and make sure it fits and strap it down. But I mean,
is there a use case for that? Sam?
yeah. Or you just was
I
that?
don't know, in case we needed to get it out to one of the islands or something, in case
Correct.
you need to get a cart out to an island or. Sure.
Certainly
gotcha.
gonna be weight limits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But if it came to that, I'm sure we could make that happen. I mean, this vessel in the state of emergency as well. This vessel can be used for emergency response as well. So it's kind of a
Curtis,
all in one vessel here.
Curtis, if you're gonna have the town's logo put on it, you may wanna wait to do that until we figure out what the community wants to call it, and maybe that whoever does that work can do it all at the
Yeah,
same time.
yeah, that's fine. I think what my thought process on this is for this boat is we're gonna have the town logo on it, town of Fort Myers Beach, you know, and then, you know, on the back corner or whatever, then we can put in smaller letters like the boat name or something like
Yeah.
that. But I want our presence on that, the town's presence on that boat, bigger than the name, if that
Very
makes
good.
sense.
Sure, yeah.
And so with your 4 to 5 month build, we're looking at October-ish.
Correct. I hope to
Okay.
have it right before we get going in the season. That's the goal. So
Do you wanna talk a little bit more about emergency response and how that's going to be added to your responsibilities since you talked about how
So
you
that
used to
has
vote?
always been part of my
Okay.
responsibilities. It's just gonna be put more into our resolution and everything now. I think as a town, as a whole, that the emergency response is gonna be, more, how should I put this?
Perhaps more visible, more apparent?
Correct.
Okay.
More capable.
And so, you know, in a state of emergency, we're always going to respond, no matter what. But also the details with all that is still being discussed within, so.
Kurt, I don't want to take up too much time, but I know if I was sitting at home watching this, any planned electronics on board?
Any what?
Planned electronics.
Yes, Garmin units. Garmin. So I already have two units that I'm gonna give to Scully for the build.
Okay. I'll send you a recommendation of a particular radar that I think is fantastic from Garmin.
Okay. I wasn't planning on putting radar
Okay.
on. I don't think
I don't think
it's
we
a
need it.
necessity for us and what we
No.
do. And
Just,
plus nowadays with our phones, I feel like, you know,
Yeah, just
uh,
some sort of plotter and
Yeah,
radio, right?
we have a chart plotter. We have a, this is a 3-in-1 unit, so it's a chart plotter, down view, and then it's a side scan
Oh,
as
wonderful.
well.
Yeah, and
So.
Garmin side scan's wonderful too. And I'm assuming radio as well.
Yes, VHF, for sure. Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, next topic I have, we have the dinghy dock. I just heard from Kelly Brothers. They are getting the docks, built, correctly for the pilings we already have in place right now because they are not repunching piles. So right now, I don't know if y'all have been down to the dinghy dock or not. How it's set up, it's kind of cattywonky a little bit and it doesn't line up correctly. So they are getting those custom made for the pilings itself. So everything's gonna act as one unit and float properly. So once he gets that in, he will come back to me and we will have a hard start date. So, that is where we're at last night. That's the latest of last week is the most recent I talked to them. So, I would think by probably the end of the summer, we're gonna get rolling on that, which is good.
And we're gonna have 50% more since we're gonna have another perpendicular,
No, it's just gonna be just like it is right now, same.
like it is now?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think with how it's gonna be laid in there, we're gonna have more room than what it is now, and it's gonna be properly built. So that's all been piecemeal together several times, you know, so. Alrighty, next topic is I got a staff report. I am fully staffed.
Yay.
Our third person, we came on board last week. His name is Joseph. He is a 50-ton captain. He's worked he ran a couple charter boats out of Hawaii for a little while. So you know, I like his skill set, and I think he's a good asset to our team. So I'm very pleased with that.
Any diving certifications, or you're gonna send them to dive school?
Still, as of right now, we're moving with just the contractors.
Just the
We're not
contractor.
doing the diving. That still gets brought up from time to time, but as of right now, we're moving with the contractors as of late, so. And I think that is best. We feel that the liability and stuff with the diving, we think it's the safest to have the professionals
I-
do that matter.
I agree with you totally. It's just what has happened in the past.
Mhm.
Correct. No, I understand that. So I think we have discussed that, and I think, this makes the best sense and the safest for us.
Okay.
Alrighty, for work-wise, that's all I have right now. I have a couple more topics I want to bring up. Our next meeting next month, I believe it's scheduled when, I know I'm kind of
June
jumping the
23rd?
gun. But, that is gonna be my family vacation.
Okay,
So I'm gonna be out, but I'm going to, have somebody fill in for me. It's, so I will let you know who that person is. I'm not gonna,
okay,
I don't wanna drop names right now to
Okay.
surprise anybody, but, I know that I asked Chad, but Chad cannot, so.
okay.
um,
Do we need to move that what's your time period?
That's up to y'all. If y'all want me to be here, you want to fit it into where I am here and kinda change it, that's,
Would you
I'm
be
told-
back on the 30th if we moved it back 1 week? And I
I will be
don't know.
back. Yes, I'll be back on the 30th.
Would that work for everybody if we moved it to the 30th, if that works for?
Is there
Yeah,
any
we-
other meeting?
Yeah, we have to ask.
Amy?
Yeah, yeah, I don't
We
know.
have- we have
I mean,
to
that's
ask.
sort of like the 5th.
Yeah, that's good with me, June 30th.
I'm not available. but
Okay.
that
How
doesn't matter.
about, June 18th in the morning, 9 AM? It's a Wednesday. We originally used to meet on Wednesdays at
Yeah.
9
That's
AM.
gonna be a Murph. Oh, no, never mind.
We talked about changing back to Wednesdays. We moved to Mondays for a former member of the committee,
You-
because Mondays work better for him. But prior to that, we met on Wednesdays at 9 AM.
Those are better for me,
What's better?
Wednesdays.
Hang on, I'm trying to get my,
And it normally would be the 20, I believe it was always the third Wednesday that we met on.
But that could have conflicted with somebody else.
Yep, it did at the time,
Well,
so
I
we
was,
moved to
I meant
Mondays.
in the organization,
Oh.
in the
I mean,
town.
currently,
Third Wednesdays don't work for me.
okay.
okay.
If it's available, maybe.
What day are you leaving? Do Fridays work for people?
So, I'm gonna be gone that Friday,
Okay, the 20th?
and
you're
I'll be
gone?
back on the 30th, yes. And June 19th is a holiday
Oh,
for us.
What about fourth Wednesdays? You say that's conflict?
Do,
No.
So really, my last day is going to be,
For him.
Oh, Curtis. Oh, yeah, okay.
well, I think we wanna have some meeting in June because we might
Yeah.
decide to take off July like the rest of the meetings.
Correct.
So,
So it's the 17th, is that consideration?
Tuesday.
I can't do that.
That doesn't really,
I guess my thought was to try the 18th, and then moving forward, if we went to the fourth Wednesday,
I mean,
Just-
worst comes to worst, I can take some time and just remote in,
well,
you know. I'm only gonna be an hour away, so,
Or you could Zoom.
that's what I'm
That's
saying.
Yeah,
He's
but
on
it's your
vacation.
vacation.
Yeah, we don't need to worry
that's
about
gonna- yeah.
He's not running.
So Tuesday, the 17th in the afternoon, would that work for people?
Works for me.
Like
Not-
at 1?
Not me.
Not you, Ted?
I'm unavailable.
You are?
Yeah.
Does that work?
Tuesday, what time?
The 17th at like 1?
Oh, 1.
And again, we'll have to check with Amy.
Yeah, I got a doctor's,
Okay.
It works for me.
Okay. Curtis, would that work for you?
The 17th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's say that tentatively, and I will check with Amy before I leave and let everybody know.
are you saying 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
I'm unavailable, but I don't have any pressing business, so as long as there's enough people, I'm
Same
fine with
here.
that.
Okay.
I know we receive emails, but I really, I'm not sure, but I haven't been receiving the alerts, the text alerts when there's a meeting, and it's so helpful.
I've never gotten one of those, so,
No.
Are
yeah.
you signed up?
Uh,
I've gotten Anchorage alerts
oh, okay, I did not know there was an alert.
Murph
Didn't know
alerts.
that.
and
Jennifer,
Okay.
I don't get them anymore either, and I used to
Okay.
get them too, but I don't,
They're really
Okay.
helpful.
That's
know
a
what
good
happened
thing.
there.
I can check on that as well.
never got it.
No,
How come I would get them?
I don't-
Are you signed up for it?
I don't know, I mean, I'm signed up for the emergency alerts, but not necessarily
Good
for a committee.
meetings, yeah, committee meetings, what's going on in the town, welcoming the new town manager, I mean, I get
That's
tons
the
of.
newsletter.
that's different.
It's
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
it's,
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, I get a newsletter that
Yeah.
says all that.
Yeah, I get text alerts.
All right, I'll look into that, Jennifer, and then send everybody
Super
information.
helpful.
Yeah,
And then I got two more things.
okay. Do you wanna talk just briefly about the financials that you,
No.
Yeah,
is that on your list?
you didn't wanna.
Well, no, I mean, just what you sent us, just so that we know.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
absolutely,
we sent,
absolutely.
And then we'll
Yeah.
get into that, yeah.
And I
Absolutely.
don't wanna get
Oh,
into
no, no,
Um,
no,
So, but, and that's not a problem, I'll get into that.
okay,
Before I do that, let me, two other things.
okay,
It's probably gonna be the beginning of June, we're gonna have the yellow special purpose buoys installed around the mooring field. Those got knocked down and out of place during Ian and with the two hurricanes last year. So, Coastal Engineering's gonna come in and, reinstall all those buoys, so, so, so everything's coming back together slowly but surely, so. And then, as of right now, our contract had ended with the debris removal contract. We are, sending our reports off to FEMA and everything right now. They're reviewing that. We are discussing right now if we can get an approval for another extension. So that is, that's where we're at right now. So, Chad and I have been working on that diligently the past couple weeks, so we got that off, and now it's in FEMA's hands. They're reviewing it now, so
okay.
that's where we're at with that. So, all right, now the financials part. So I sent this out to y'all last week, last Friday. So all this is up to date and accurate as of Friday of last week.
Chris, do you have a copy of that? I never received that, unless it was in the packet. And then I still
It
didn't
came
receive it.
separately, and I
It
think
is a
Hope I
bunch
didn't-
of pages.
I hope I didn't leave you out, Ed.
it's a
Well,
huge
but I do have a copy for you.
Excel.
Got copies.
Oh, thank you. You see, do you have more?
Yeah, you want,
That'd be great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
That's right.
Oh, what's this?
So what I printed out this first, first packet reservation of Matanzas Pass. So these are all the boats that we've had, in the mooring field from April 1st to April 30th. It also, in this data provided, you'll also look, it also tells them it tells them how long they have stayed here throughout their entire stay, as well. So it gives you the departure and then the nights that they have stayed. That is a cumulative since they've been here the entire time that they showed up in the mooring field under the reservation. But this counts all under just that month, April's month report. So,
One comment, Kurt, on the,
yeah, go ahead.
can you put a total, under nights, can you put a total at the bottom? I know you had, we don't need them in this report, but future.
Total of nights, like how many boats we've had on balls for
Yeah,
the,
you
for
get
the
just-
entire month?
Just, just show below the total number, so
Yeah,
I don't
just
have
so.
to add it up
Yeah,
myself.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
But this is nights through year-to-date nights. So that's
Actually-
what that's gonna give you. Cause the nights column it's cumulative, so that first boat has been here 121 nights as of
Okay,
last Friday.
well, that's fine, we
But
can
that's
say,
still, they've still been here for that month, so you just want a
Yes.
total of all the reservations and everybody we have on the ball for that month?
you see nights in what you sent out, the nights column of what you sent out. If at the end, we could have, year-to-date and number of nights for that month. So,
So you're
Okay.
saying year-to-date total nights,
right.
Which is what's provided,
right,
correct?
right? And then you're saying also monthly total nights.
That would be helpful, because we
can
can
you
look
do
at
that?
we could look at what we've had this month versus
Right.
what we had last month, and then total, what we've had since the first year. I would find that very useful, instead of trying to add this up myself.
So do we receive these reports monthly?
I think this is the first time
It's
we
the first
have.
time.
we
Yes,
personally
I
have seen this
stated
one.
like, that's been a big
Yeah.
topic in the past, meeting, so I said for my meeting, for these meetings, I'm going to bring the monthly report for the last month
Right.
in.
So I think that's the question that maybe we should talk a little bit about is what information is helpful? You know,
Yes.
what do we want Curtis to provide each month when it comes to the financials or when it comes to other things? And so if it's important for us to know revenue, what was our monthly revenue, and then maybe year-to-date revenue against budget, I think might be helpful, against what we were expecting to bring in or hoping to bring in. And then
Monthly,
monthly
so we can track.
nights
Right.
and
Year-to-date
year-to-date
and
nights, which,
monthly.
yeah,
Just to make it easier to track it.
and I think that would get to your point, Ted.
Absolutely. That monthly,
Yep.
he said exactly what I was thinking.
And do you think that's
So you
realistic?
just wanna know the number of boats that we had that came in, that are staying on the ball, and the new reservations that we had for the entire month.
I think,
That isn't what he said.
yeah, I think it's nights, so you're saying if there was one boat that stayed for 30 nights and another boat that stayed for 10 nights, you'd add those nights up.
That's what I was thinking. So, right now you have, this is for April, but it's year-to-date to April, correct? Or is this just April? This
That's
can't be-
just April, that's just April.
But it's year-to-date when it comes to nights, because they have been in the mooring field for longer than just April.
Correct,
Some of these people.
correct.
So is there a way in the system, you know, that you can just extract the people who've been there for just April?
So Kurt,
I'll try
Yeah.
to see,
Yeah.
I just have to play with it,
Yeah.
and then I'll have to get on DACA and ask them
Yeah.
if that's
oh, I
possible.
see, yeah. yeah.
Cause
So-
this is a report that's just their standard report
Yes,
that they give you, okay,
Yes.
yeah, so we're
Yeah.
asking for a slightly different view.
correct.
Or once you get it filtered. If they can give you, well, you got dates on here,
Yeah,
so you can.
That's what I'm saying, for me to pull that information without me doing it manually on
Yeah.
my own, I would have to ask them to
create a new report,
correct,
you need a new column,
or tailor it,
if possible.
add that if it's
Yeah.
possible, you know? But I mean, I see what you're saying, you want all the nights all together? Like how many nights each boat stayed
So-
for that month? I
so-
mean, if it's a month, they
Not-
stayed for a month.
Not each, how much all boats stayed for that month.
yeah,
Right.
so just the nights. So there was one boat for 30 nights, a second boat for 15 nights, a third boat for 20 nights, you add up those three things, 30, 15, 20, and you add them up for all of the boats, and then you can divide it by the number of boats that were there, or at least you know
So,
what's possible. So if there's 83 balls times 30 nights, you know what the total possibility is, and then you can average that against the nights that you had.
Madam Chair, I don't think average works.
No, not average?
I wanna
Okay.
track month to month,
Okay.
so we can graph out what months are
Okay.
better than others. So, right here, it's year-to-date, so it's all nights since January,
Right, but you see, like,
although it can't be year-to-date because it's.
No, it
one
can't
of
be
the-
Yeah, it
because-
isn't, right?
because,
It's rolling.
yeah, that's what I mean, like, so,
So when does this start?
this is, so this is all of April.
But I see 182 nights, for
That's
example.
because that boat has been there for 182 nights, they haven't left, they have stayed there the entire time.
So there's a date that this all started, correct?
Correct, which would be,
Right.
so look, golden rule 4/2/25, right?
Right.
And they've been here Now and this is up to May 6, 2025, so they,
Right.
but
You should.
this report is pulled from April, so this includes them in the April
Right,
report.
but I don't know when this started. Well,
When to start it, what do you mean, when to start it? If you're doing by month, you just put them down for that month, is
Yeah.
they're in that,
We've got
This
people
is-
who arrived in 2024, so I'm wondering if there's a filter you can apply to say just 2025, just the current year.
The current month.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping that there are filters that you can do in that report that will allow you to just see by month or to see year to date, because you've got arrivals that were in 2024, which obviously will skew if we're trying to look at a year.
Kurt, can I make an example for it and
Yeah.
email it to you?
yeah,
That
please
makes
do,
it-
please
that-
do.
That'll make it more clear, I think.
I think y'all are getting confused with these nights and the numbers.
Well-
Like, I don't understand. I'm struggling to understand what y'all are getting at, because they're included in this month.
They-
Right.
So they stayed 30 days for the month of April. You know, the full month. They're on the monthly rate.
That's correct, understand that.
And then you would deduct that 30 days or whatever, 29 days, and then you can
Right.
take the
No,
amount of days and
No.
go back to.
no, that's not what we're looking
Make
for.
one,
I want a total of everything in this column, all right? And then out, next to that, I want a total just for April.
But you also
Hold
want
on.
it to be just for this year, and what we have here includes 2024.
So, yeah, if, that's correct, and, so if there's been a boat that's here since or since January 1st, we would mark it as, let me just send an
Okay.
example.
Okay.
Example, I think, would be a lot easier.
So do you not, so the long-term vessels that are here month to month that are pretty much here year-round, right? You want to extract those from the month report, and you just want the new vessels that came in for that month?
can I, this is something you may not be able to do, but you showed me a report, a daily report, and it has how many vessels are there that day.
Correct.
Okay, and there's a daily report for every day of the month. And that figure of how many there were, if they could give you,
So you want to know how many boats are on the ball each day for the entire month. So every day I have 41 boats. Tomorrow I'll have 42 boats.
Right.
You know,
And you take
on
all those-
Friday I'll have 39 boats. That's, you want to see that list for each day of the
We-
entire month.
we don't have to see the list, but
Just the
the
number.
addition of those.
But the numbers, you want to
Yeah.
see those numbers for
Yeah.
each day of the entire month,
Well,
for each month.
or the average of those days. In other words, you take,
Well, I can probably look it up and give you exact numbers of how many boats we've had on each ball,
Yeah,
you know?
well,
I think that would be great, and then we can just
yeah,
add those
but I
up
don't,
and,
I don't wanna cause him too much
yeah,
work.
if that's an easy number.
No, I just have to look on DACWA, see if I can go back and pull that,
Yeah.
you know?
So-
I mean, all this is, I
Or we can
reach out to
start from
DACWA and do a
Yeah.
meeting and make sure that I can pull this data and
Yeah.
understand how to. pull
Madam
it,
Chair,
but-
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What is the goal of this? Are we just trying to know what our revenues are?
Well,
Because I know like with that work for me, revenues are great, man. We look at revenues and we get all excited, and then we look at expenses.
Yeah.
And that's where the
Well, I think
rubber
there's-
meets the road
I
is
think
with
there's
the
two
expenses.
things. We wanna understand revenue against the budget and
That's what we
expenses,
used
and I
to
think we
do.
wanna understand average occupancy. I think that's
Okay.
where we're trying to go is, and I think we have a good idea of where our high points are going to be, but it also would be helpful to have that historical information, and I'm guessing you guys kind of have that historically, average
But-
occupancy from some of your information?
But historically, doesn't, I'd like to see what is April 24 versus April 25.
Mhm.
And then the same thing for each month, and are we increasing, are we decreasing, what is our percentage of increasing? And I'm not asking you to put all those in
What
there,
we're after.
but we can look at it and see it.
So what I can
Average
try to do,
income, average
for
occupancy.
our next meeting,
That's what.
I'll
we're
bring
after.
May's report in
And it's,
And see
of
if,
2025, and I'll try to pull last year's report, so you can,
For May 2025.
2024,
Yeah.
May
Right,
2024,
2024,
so we can compare the two.
Right. Does that
And
work
see
for
where
you,
we're at.
Ted and Ed?
Mine is not following as well as it might, but does that mean that we will know the financial income per month and the number of nights on all the balls for a month, each month?
Yes, I think we will. Because we'll just add up those numbers.
No, there's different income per,
Oh, both
on
depending
different
on.
classification of bulk, right?
Well,
Someone that's on a monthly rate is different than someone that's on a daily rate.
it's the actual payments, finances, that's what you want to know is how much money came in that month, right?
Money and count,
Yeah, the money he has.
okay?
The question is how to present the count,
Yes,
because it is not in any of the reports that he has.
that's correct. And if I can make an example that we can email to the committee through, or send it to Kurt. Kurt can decide if he wants to distribute it, just to try to, I know it's confusing what we're trying to explain here, but we gotta start somewhere. All right, so if I can make an example, which I can do from this document right here, because I have it electronically, and then we can look at it and say, this is what we wanna add, or this is what we wanna delete, or this doesn't make any sense.
I have this data for 10 years,
Excellent.
and I'm trying to pick up from where it was, and of course, there's some missing years, but I have 10 years of data specifically, the average occupancy per month, each month, and I've got it all graphed out, and I would like to continue that.
Exactly.
And I think that's what you're asking for.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly where
Yeah.
I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
Exactly what you have is where I'm trying to get to.
And it
going
can be
forward.
done, and
Yeah.
Curtis, I think, is gonna get them to make
That's
it where he
what
can.
we got from Austin before.
And that's excellent. We just wanna continue it. We wanna pick it up and continue it going forward. And I think I can make formulas in Excel that would help that.
I've been doing that.
Roughly 135 boats for the entire month of April.
And that's wonderful, but I have to go through this individually to figure that out.
Yeah, I can put the total down for
But-
you in the reports. I can calculate
That's
that.
Is that
how
the
many
thing?
boats
Is that the sort of thing that you were looking for?
This-
John?
and
this
how
is
many
exactly
days.
what I
Okay.
want.
It's the days.
Chris, you wanna
That
take
Yeah.
it and give it back to me?
That needs to go around to all of us.
Yeah, you can,
It's-
so we
sure,
can
sure,
see
sure.
it.
The number,
Well, I need
which
to go to
is
Kurt, and Kurt needs
your-
to distribute it,
your
but I can
It's a
show it to you right
daily
now.
report.
It's just, yeah.
I'll
you
take a-
can't- For sunshine laws, it's when something is being passed to someone else.
That's why I'm talking about giving it to Kurt and
Yeah.
let Kurt distribute it to the committee.
You can hand it around and just show it to everybody. I mean, it's just something that was, back in probably a year or so ago, maybe when I first started,
Yes, but
Austin.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
If you wanna just show it to her, that's fine. We can pass it around, then if you wanna hang on to
So
it,
Ted,
John,
what
give
you're
it
saying
back to me.
is, so for this month of April, I have 130, I had 135 vessels,
Different vessels.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, altogether, I had 130 boats come in and stay, whether that's, they were already there and,
Mm-hmm.
or we had transients that come in
Gotcha.
and stayed. You wanna know the number of each day I have on the, how many vessels I have on the ball for each day of it.
Ted, I don't
Of the
think
month.
what you were doing it, were you doing it each day, or were you doing it on monthly?
No, monthly. And-
Right.
And the answer is, but the way you get to the month is to add up each day. And
Correct.
there's a
Yeah, but
daily.
you
rep-
can't, you can't take that number for each day and add it up and be like, okay, this is how many, because that's not gonna be
It's the number of nights.
nights, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh,
And then associate that with revenue, right?
well, those are separate. I don't know whether the fact that the number of boats were there, it's how many days all the boats were there. Meaning each boat stays a different length of time,
Correct, which is listed in this report.
So are we trying to get to a boat equivalent of hotel nights?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
and then the cost,
Yeah.
revenue associated.
so you have 100 rooms in your hotel, and your average occupancy is X over a certain period because you know how many rooms were occupied during that time. Is
So
that
on Friday, May 23rd, I have 43 boats on balls.
out of 83
Correct.
possible? Yep.
Correct, yes. So
Okay.
I'm right at 50% right now.
Will Doc will write you a report that does that?
That's something I have to ask them.
Yeah, and
I'm not
It's
sure.
too
Ted.
much
I
to
gotta
go
go
through.
back. I gotta go back and sit down
Yeah.
and look at DocWood to make sure I can pull that. Because there's several reports you can pull. I just gotta
Okay.
make sure that's one of them.
Yeah.
It's just something I gotta go back and play with and everything.
And I don't think it needs to go back. Once you get it together,
Oh, yeah.
we could start from that point
Yeah.
so that he doesn't have to go back and,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we need a starting
Because,
point.
so if you look back at the last page, the revenues have revenue for March
Mhm.
and the revenue for April.
and all those revenues came in for that month?
Now look, so this is cumulative, I guess. So nights is 4,000. Well, this is for the month. So nights,
Oh,
number of nights had 4,063.
okay, you have it.
that's not-
Seasonal mortgage is 123.
That's another cumulative one. I mean,
Are you looking at the revenue summary?
that comes off of the.
Correct.
The one,
So there were 4,186 nights total during that
Passes
month.
the general
but,
position.
but some of those nights weren't in that month.
Is that true?
Well, they
Some of that,
divide,
how do you
take four
figure that
thousand.
though? How do you,
So 83
If you divide that by,
falls times 30 nights, yeah, probably.
How do you have,
well, it's probably going off of 89
Okay,
mooring balls.
okay.
Can I see that?
Yeah.
Just wanna make sure I'm looking at the right one on my phone.
That's from March.
that data, when you look at the whole thing, is cumulative.
All right,
I mean, these are
I
each
don't have
month, and
this.
this takes away the yearly, this includes the transient and what we already have as well, because they have to pay, the monthly rate have to renew, if they're staying, we have to renew them each month, so all this is strictly the month that this is in, there's not other months running into this month.
but that's too many nights.
Yeah, that's too many. When you look at the source data, it ends up putting in the nights that somebody spent for the last 3 months. So
Right.
that data is not
I got you.
valid.
So you wanna extract that, yeah, that might be,
And to me,
that's gonna be a
daily
little hard, I
reports
think.
all put together, if they could do that, finance and occupancy.
Okay.
Just to be clear on the cumulative, do we need to direct Curtis on the calendar as opposed to the fiscal year?
Well, yeah, I think
What are-
calendar year, I think,
No, we've always done it on the fiscal.
Do
Yeah,
it on the fiscal year?
yeah, and
Okay,
it seems
all
like
right.
we're talking about calendar year now, but
Okay, all
what,
right.
what do you think of that, Jim? That we
Well-
should base everything on our fiscal year rather than the calendar year, so it meshes with
Budget?
our other, yeah.
I would yield to the CPA, former CPA vice chairman of
Yeah,
the
what do
committee
you
as to
think,
what
Sam?
would be appropriate, yeah.
Well, we should be consistent, but it sounds like we were just talking about calendar year today, but we probably should do fiscal year, so
I think that
that
makes
when we
sense.
look at the figures, it'll jibe with, our other
makes
reports.
sense.
And when we
But
report
we
it,
just need to let Curtis know which way we want the cumulative numbers.
You said this is a report from Austin, is this his notes on the
No, that's
side?
all mine,
Oh, that's all your notes, okay.
Yeah, it's all mine. and I have no idea what they said, cause I haven't read this in a long time.
That's okay, I can understand most of it, but, I would also like to see this report as well, included.
Yeah,
What is that?
Let's- Like to see the pump out, how many vessels had pump outs.
it was just something that he provided to us on a monthly basis, and
So if we could include that with reports, that would be great.
Possibly the formulas exist if you have all his data.
Oh, that doesn't come from DACWA? No, it
No.
wouldn't come
No.
from DACWA,
No,
right,
he did all this himself.
okay.
yeah, and I'll look back
This
through my
might have been
other-
before DACWA as well.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so,
It might have been.
which they had to make all these, keep these spreadsheets themselves, so.
I have a question, do you have to report to DACWA the pump outs?
No.
No.
No, I have to report to the grant for the pump outs. For the clean water. No, we have all that data for the pump outs
Yeah.
that we do, and I can provide y'all with those. All those
Yeah, and that's
numbers. Cause we just submitted our packet to renew submitted our application, to renew to renew the grant and keep going, so, we just submitted that last week, so. But yeah, but every quarter, we have to submit a report to them with number of boats, all that, we have to keep track of our hours, how many hours we have associated with it between individual workers and everything.
This is just where we're trying to get.
Okay, so we're going to try to create some new reports, sort of based on some of what we've seen in the past. I'm gonna give you, do you want that as well? And we can pass that around too, it's just something else that I found. But what we're really trying to get at is an understanding of the occupancy of the mooring field, sort of like hotels do their occupancy, and then we really wanna understand our revenue against our budget on a fiscal calendar year.
I think that's where we're trying to get.
Okay.
We're really trying to sum it all up. I think we just want to create what Ted has from previous months.
Yes,
Yeah,
previous eras.
previous eras. I think he has all this. I don't know if you have this,
Not to be
Kurt, or not,
confused
but-
with errors.
No, I do not.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can pass this to him, but that's really, I think, the summary is whatever Ted has had, the reports that came to Ted previously, I think is what we're trying to
Right.
recreate.
Right. And I'll hand this to you too, Curtis, before we leave. I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
wanna see
Yeah, that's a big one.
old things. Okay,
Oh,
Kurt.
yeah, okay.
anything else, Curtis?
I'm good. We'll figure out this financial
Okay.
thing, we'll get it down. And
Okay.
I believe I can pull those certain reports y'all want, if not, I'll, like I said, I'll create something for y'all.
Okay.
Originally, what I asked for was just a quarterly report of revenues versus expenses. I think we got kinda caught a little blindsided last year when the financials came out. And it turned out that the mooring field itself lost quite a bit of money. And as a committee, I thought it would maybe be a good idea for us to keep our eyes on that bottom line as we go on throughout the year, so that we could do our best to advise the council to reel in either some expenses or increase our revenues, so we get closer to that $0. So this report is great. It's nice to know how the mooring field is performing, but without the expenses, it is what it is.
I got you.
It's just like,
And I'm trying to remember exactly where sort of the differential was. Do you remember, was it because of additional equipment that had to be purchased, or, and I think we saw a couple of different cuts of the budget because it was sort of like maritime operations, big picture versus just mooring field, so,
Correct.
I mean, if we can understand the real things that just apply to the mooring field,
yeah, and also I believe at that time,
So you want all my expenses for the month too, along with this, is what you're saying?
well, I figured quarterly would, be sufficient, but the other thing about last year, you asked a question, a lot of your staff, your current staff, were working in other areas of the town, and it was getting charged back to marine operations. So we were also trying to get a finger on how that works. But that
I
problem.
don't think they were being paid out of our budget, even though
Well,
they
I'd
helped
have to-
us out.
I'd have
They
to
were
go
still
back and
under a
look.
different department,
Yeah.
if I'm
And,
correct.
since the
on
town
that.
is without its finance director right now, we may need to wait for some of these things to get
Mhm.
figured out, because I think we would really like to know what expenses are really applicable to the mooring field and which ones are applicable to the larger department.
Correct.
So that we're really,
In the presentation
apples
that Joe
together.
did, if I remember correctly, he said the stuff for last year wasn't 100% accurate because of we're waiting for money to come in to take that number, that large
Right.
number away. And we would be looking a lot better, is what I remember correctly. Now, correct me if I'm
yeah,
wrong, but,
that sounds,
Well, it's just with these reports that we get and expense reports, I mean, we're just trying to be responsible to the taxpayers of this town.
absolutely.
And report to the council that, hey, we've got a problem here.
Yeah,
Or,
absolutely.
hey, we're doing really good here,
Right.
rather than waiting till the end of the year and going, well, how did that happen?
Right. Okay.
Uh,
That sounds good. I can give you my expenses.
I have a question. We get many grant support for many things that we do in this marina stuff. And I'm wondering, we got expenses that come through this. Some of those expenses are paid by the grants. Are the grants income there in any way to balance whatever deficit is shown on the expenses? Are there funds that are grant funds that go there and cover what you're talking about, but you don't see them?
right.
And I'd like to know, how are those accounted for, and is it possible that this overage in expenses is really covered by grants, and we don't have it in the system that way? Having lived on federal grants for 30 years, I know how that goes. You've got this grant over here, and you use it in several different locations, and the location it's used in doesn't get credit for it. We're losing money over here, but in truth, it was covered by a common piece of equipment like the boat, which is charged to here, but there was a grant somewhere that helped buy the last boat, and I assume there's possibly one now. So this, what we see in the budget are expenses, but not some of the funds that came in because we are here to cover it. And I wasn't, in the 10 years I pushed to get, I never did get that figure. It would be nice to know if these apparent over expenses are not being covered by grants that, so I still don't know whether that's true or not, but that's
Right.
in my experience.
Yeah, if there's a grant and there's dollars, it shows up in a financial report somewhere.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't just disappear. It's
But
in a
It does, it
report
just may
somewhere.
not be shown, it may be shown as, like other income and grants and not necessarily applied against the expenses when they put a report out for us, so. I get what Ted's saying, I get what you're saying, that it'd be nice to have it all tied together in a way that we could see how we really were, rather than it's kind of in disparate pots.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal of this committee is to seek revenue neutrality. We, and how you do it, Ted, to your point, and how do these grants factor into revenue neutrality? And Ed, I mean, are we charging enough for our product? That's a complex financial puzzle that I think we're all trying to solve.
And in addition to that, that report there is excellent because it tells me that month, which we're looking at, that the highest amount of vessel use was 50 footers. So it affects how we market, which I think, in addition to all the revenue, which I think is 100% correct, this report helps me, or helps the committee know that that particular month, we have our most is 50 footers, so we know how to market.
Okay, so you want to know the size vessel, how many 40 footers we've had in the month, how many 50 footers, 60 footers that, for each month?
Yeah, just pass this over real fast, and just a quick look, Kurt.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
this.
See how it's broken down.
I agree.
And that's for marketing purposes mostly, is what you mean. Yeah.
Much more for marketing purposes than for what you're talking about, expenses and balance of
Sure.
revenue, which to the penny, I think we need that as well. But that gives you information that clearly indicates who's using the mooring field, the type of vessel that's using the mooring field,
Yeah.
and who we should be marketing to.
And I think it would also help for future planning to know, do we really need balls with a larger radius or not?
Excellent thought.
Can I throw in one, this is gonna be under items for next week, next time?
Yeah.
Just one, this is a great intellectual discussion, and if I could just add to the discussion just a bit, and I'm really poking a hornet's nest here, but I had a marina owner approach me this past month with mixed feelings about the town operating a mooring field, because he was explaining that it has become in direct competition to the marinas on the island. And I wonder if there's things we can do to not be in direct competition with the marinas, and if first of all, is that premise correct? And second of all, if it is correct, is there things we can do to become less in competition with our private marinas? And I honestly I don't know the answer, but I know there's some smart people on this committee, and I'm Curtis, and just something for people to chew on, cause we certainly don't wanna get in the business of competing against marinas, and I don't know if we are, but I thought it was an interesting question for us to kind of pause it and chew on a little bit.
Vice Mayor, I think part of that answer is there's a total of amount of slips that exist on the island that's operated privately. And of that, we know how much of each type of vessel they can accommodate. So possibly 30 footers, 20 footers, that may be exactly, that may be more interest, because there's very few slips on this island that can handle 50 footers and above. So again, that information and being able to answer those questions, to come back and say, we're competing against, at the most, 20% of your business or 10% of your business.
Yeah.
How do we position ourselves as complementary? You know,
I'd
we're
like that.
serving a different market than they're able to serve with their marinas, plus all of our benefits that we're, our environmental benefits with the pump outs and everything else that we're controlling, putting some
That's a
guardrails around.
good summary of what I was trying
I
to.
mean,
Yeah,
if anything, I think we work hand in hand with the marinas around
Yeah.
here. I don't think there's any competition. I think we use each other and help each other out. I know that marinas have sent boats to my mooring field, and I've sent boats to their marinas. Now, the marinas offer things that I don't offer, that I can't offer, with being electric, water, all that stuff. Boats want to fill up by water, I send them to other marinas for them to have their business. So I really don't see, if anything, I do want to say I pride myself in the relationships I've built with all the marinas around here. Salty Sam's, we helped them out when they were redoing their dock. We have a second pump out station because of that. We
I think-
also pump out Moss Marina's boats every Thursday. They help us with,
I think his point, Curtis, to your point,
Yeah.
it wasn't in criticism of our operation. It was more of a theoretical concern.
I got you.
I don't.
Meaning like because I am cheaper than marinas?
Yes, I
But
think so, yeah.
also, as I'm gonna be cheaper because they offer power and electric and all
right.
that
Yep.
stuff, that's a lot more expensive,
Yeah.
so.
And it may not be an issue. I just thought it was interesting that a marina owner posited it. Again, it was never critical of the mooring field or operation, because
Right.
they have a good relationship with us. But just sort of in theory, they were feeling that that somehow we're in competition with them. That may or may not be true. I just thought it was really an interesting
And
question.
this was a
something
marina
owner.
owner
Yeah.
coming to you saying that? Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it does beg the question that we can continue to tell our story better, and we can explain to, you know, citizens at large and marina owners and business, okay, here's exactly our sweet spot, here's where we play, here's how we benefit, here's how we work with everybody in the community, so not a competition,
Yeah,
but
and
you
to-
do this good, we do this well,
And to John's point, if there's certain needs that the
Mhm.
mooring field can
Yeah.
meet that the marinas aren't meeting, or if we're
Right.
meeting needs that really are already trying to be met by the marinas, something, just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer, I'm
No.
just positing the question.
I'm extremely surprised, because of the marinas that I've been with in the past, that this has never been a problem, and most of the marinas are over full.
Yeah,
So I'm sort of surprised at
I was
the,
surprised too, Ted, yeah, I agree. But as somebody who's been in the business for a long time on the island, and somebody we all know, I just thought and he wasn't like harsh or anything, he just was sort of positing a theoretical question. I just thought it was something for us to be mindful of.
How did you answer it?
I said, I'll check with the experts, yes. And I said something to chew on, I mean, something
Yeah.
to certainly be sensitive to, but I just thought it was interesting. But again, that's a topic for a whole other meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
no, but I do think it's interesting, and,
Yeah.
you know, Curtis obviously knows how they're working in hand with the marinas like you talked about, and the fact that, okay, well, you offer this for
Yeah.
these size boats, we offer this for people who need this, and we can all live together.
Yeah, I could very well be true. I just thought it was interesting that they said it wasn't a criticism of the chemistry or relationship, just the concept of a mooring field in general was in direct competition to what they're trying to accomplish. I thought that was an interesting comment, and something that, at least in terms of messaging and communication, something to be sensitive to. May not be true, I don't know, may have been. maybe he's having a
I
bad
see
day.
where,
Yeah.
boat comes in, whether they
Yeah.
want electric or not, well, I am the cheaper rate, so I get that part, I don't know why he's saying that, if he wants me to raise his rates closer to his, well,
I'm guessing
we
the answer
won't-
to that is yes.
We won't have boats in the we won't have boats in the mooring field if that,
Yeah.
if we
It's a
go
fair
that
point.
route.
Yeah.
It's a very delicate balance, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
choosing one hotel over another.
Correct.
Do I
Exactly
want
right.
these
Correct.
amenities, do I want these amenities? Am I willing to pay for it?
But I think, like I explained, unless I'm thinking wrong and don't know any better, but, I think all the marinas around here, with us, we all work very well together. We
Yeah.
all have great relationships, so, that to be brought up.
Yeah, no,
You
it wasn't
know,
a
so-
criticism of the relationship, just more of a theoretical concern.
I got
Yeah.
you. But I think, like Chris said, we can all find our place where we can all live and help each other out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I don't have it, I push it to them. You know what I mean? I want this town to succeed, not just us, right?
Right.
I want everybody to eat, so.
All good. I just would have been remiss not to at least raise it intellectually. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Final cruisers costs, do we have an accounting of, a final accounting and how much we have left and where that's going to live?
Yes, I can grab that. I have to touch base with Sherry on that. I don't have the exact numbers. I thought I'd sent that out already.
Well, you did, but I don't know if it was final. I mean, it was
That was-
right after the event.
That was pretty final of what we had.
Okay,
That was after everything, all the costs, everything.
okay.
And I can touch base with Sherry as well, which I
Okay.
need to do anyways, and talk to her about that, because she is,
I just wanted to comment on that while you're on Cruisers Day, real quick. Cruisers Day was on a Sunday. On Monday, I submitted our, to the town to remit the check. They discounted us like $75, which was nice. I was able to pay Snug Harbor on Wednesday. They really appreciated it, and they extended us an invitation. They thought it was a great event. They extended us an invitation to come back again the next year.
Yep, I talked to Peter on Sunday, and so he was
They were very, very satisfied.
Okay, I have a few items from last time that we talked about, and I just wanna make sure that we revisit those. Jim, you had made a suggestion that maybe we invite the media to debris removal. And Nicole, I'm not sure if you're here to give us a report on any communication, or if you're just hanging out. Okay,
So
you wanna come up, I have a couple things for you. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. One of the things that we talked about is as we were getting near the end of our debris removal contract, and maybe they're not doing any debris removal right now? Or
They're not,
they're
no.
totally done? Okay.
Yes, we're stopped right now.
Okay, so, won't make any sense then, but we talked about inviting the media to come to see sort of the last big dumping of debris, but we don't really have that going on now, so maybe that's something for future consideration?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And then we had also talked about how can we use what happened at Cruisers for promotion in general of the mooring field, so I don't know if you have anything going on and any plans for some communication to like cruisers.net. I know, John, you have a whole list of, sort of boat media. Anything on
Exactly.
your
That
docket?
would be great if you could send me the list of media outlets that you have. I heard the event went great. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I'm looking forward to the next one. Yeah, any information that you have would be great, just so that even in the future we can get it out to more outlets. For this one, we did a quick press release on it, and then we put it on all of our social media on our website. We do a weekly newsletter that goes out on Fridays. It was on there from when we started advertising up until the weekend of the event. But other than that, I didn't have any other outlets really to post it on, so if I have those for the future, that would be great.
I think, Nicole, what the chair was talking about is that these are trade publications, that if some content was created with some pictures to submit, like maybe a synopsis of the event with some
For
pictures.
after the fact.
After the fact, it's earned media, so they're always looking for content.
Great.
And if they run it in their publications, then we get all this earned media, great marketing, free publicity for Fort Myers Beach, what a welcoming place it is, how fun, how cool it is that they honor the people that support the mooring field. That was kind of the pitch. And on the debris piece, it was such positive media for the town, all the coverage of the canals getting cleaned up, that at the conclusion of it, if they come out with a final report as to how much they cleaned up, and in the aggregate,
Correct.
that might be a worthy press
Definitely.
thing as well, because with some pictures, they love the picture piece, because it was really, and not only was it great media for the town, but it was, I think the people on this island were very encouraged by it, and it really, we're always looking for positive news to encourage people, and that was a good one, so, just for the good of the order.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get with Curtis on any final numbers or reports that we have from that company that we can potentially get out there.
Great.
Yeah, again, it's all about how do we keep the mooring field top of mind even when it's not high season, and more about celebrating what we do for boaters. It's not about the event itself necessarily, but look at Fort Myers Beach, they really care about the boaters, and here's what they're doing.
Yeah, and we can try to do even just post more often and get the mooring field social media a little bit more active, whether it's just promoting coming to the mooring field or the amenities that we offer when you do more with us. So we can just kind of collaborate on that and get more posting out for the mooring field.
And I have 7 media outlets that I think would be ideal to let know these are our capabilities. And I've just thought of another, and then I'll
Well,
pass them on.
And John, I remember you sending, which I think I took a picture of and sent to you too, that list of all of the different boat-related media. You handed it out months and months ago, so I'll recirculate that as well.
Okay, that would be
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Excellent. Because I did this in the last month, so it'd be good to combine them.
Captains of Clean Water would probably, like to maybe post things that we're doing too, like the cleanup, and that would be a good one if you don't have that one on.
I'll add that.
Yes. And I have a question, and not in regards to this, but, are you the one that actually puts the information for the alerts, the text alerts? Like, for
It depends
example,
on what that is.
it's a special, it's the alert, that you can sign up for on the town website.
Okay.
And for example, I just got one, a special town council meeting, May 28th. It
Yes.
helps when I get these text messages because I have a lot of emails coming in, and so this, I basically can just tap and it goes right to my calendar.
Yes, so there's quite a few different options that you can sign up for on the website. We do have that. That's for our town calendar, I believe, is why you're getting those texts. We also have news flashes. If you sign up with a phone number and with an email address, you should get an email and a text message about those as well.
And who puts that information in?
It depends. So our town calendar, when it's in regards to a meeting, it's our town clerk's department. But when it's our news flashes or just general town information, it's usually myself.
Okay, so it would be Amy that, okay, cause I just, it's so nice when I have, it's coming up, you know, that, a meeting and it's just really helpful.
We also do have our town app that not many people know about. We need to do a little bit better job of promoting that. And if you have the app on your phone, you can enable notifications. So
Okay.
at any time there's a news flash or something put on our calendar, it's going to send a notification to your phone.
Is that on Play Store? What would the name be?
It's on, it's for Androids and Apple. It's FMB Gov.
I think that's what this is. Is
Okay.
there a way to tell?
You would have an actual app on your phone.
Oh, I see.
It's
I
our
see.
logo,
Okay.
and then that would just put a notification on your phone. It's not a text message, it's just a pop-up that comes
Gotcha.
up.
I got you.
Madam Chair, do I summarize this and send directly, or I send it through?
Send it to Curtis, yeah. Yep. But I'll also, once the meeting is over, in the next couple days, I'll do my little recap and then you can send it and everybody can get it all
Okay.
at one time.
Yeah, cause I'm sure there's other ideas.
Right.
Just you.
Okay, anybody else have questions for Nicole? Okay,
Okay,
thank you, appreciate you
Nicole.
being here. Okay, well, I had planned to walk through some of the other documents that I sent out. We may not want to get that deep into things, but I'll just sort of summarize what I put together, and I think we can talk about this hopefully at our next meeting, and perhaps, do you know if we set up the meeting, will Tom be able to join us? We can check.
Yes, we're still, discussing things with the new town
Okay.
manager that he
Okay.
just got into the
Sure.
plan and everything like that.
Sure.
So once that's all set, that following meeting, hopefully next meeting is what I'm shooting
Okay.
for, we'll have answers to bring him in.
Okay. So I put a couple of things together with my friend, Copilot. Boy, I love using AI. I told it what I wanted to create, and it spit out something for me. It was great. So one of the things I sent you was sort of this channel canal maintenance overview.
Yes.
And basically, it's just an attempt to start getting a source of truth around this. I know we don't have a source of truth, so that's going to be something that I'm sure that you and Chad will be working on, Curtis and,
Was that emailed to,
you should have gotten it when the email, there were like 3 documents attached. Curtis sent it on May 16th, I believe. Everybody remember
Yep.
getting that?
Do you get it?
Okay.
Okay, I must have, didn't see it.
I believe you were in there.
So I'm
let's see.
gonna back up a second here. At our last meeting, we did talk a little bit about, you know, the fact that canals, we don't have that source of truth. We're trying to figure out who owns what, how we can figure out how to properly maintain canals, whose responsibility that is. I mentioned that when I spoke to council on May 5th, as did MRF Chair Dave Newsbaum, so we know that MRF is also interested in this topic. And the mayor suggested that Dave and I send an email or a letter to other municipalities who have a lot of canals and ask them for information about how they think about this and what their plans are. So that's something that we're going to do, just to try to do a little bit of research and help the town out with this. But in the meantime, I just took the information that I had, created this document, just so it's something that we can start working through, once we get more information about what other towns might do, and then we can come up with, maybe it's a joint proposal that,
What's the name of the document?
well, it's channel canal maintenance,
Got
Oh,
it.
got it?
It came out through Curtis or?
Yes, Curtis would have sent it, Curtis or Patty would have
And
sent
the
it,
date-
Curtis sent it May 16th.
May 16th.
May
Correct.
16, okay.
You should have gotten it, Jen.
I got it.
Okay.
So, for our next meeting, maybe we can just talk through this, from a high level and just see if there's anything here that isn't correct as we know it today. Again, it's from all of our previous meetings and everything that I had in my notes, so it may or may not be totally accurate. The second thing that I put together, was in response to you know, Ted's suggestions about, hey, we have a lot of documents out there and they don't all sync necessarily, and some of them are older in nature. We also know that there's going to be a need to create a new resolution because of really formalizing the critical response stuff under
Correct.
your
Correct.
committee or your department. So
Along with this committee
Exactly.
and what we do and
Yeah.
the goals behind it.
So it's a really good time to take a look at all of the information that's out there and try to figure out what's right, what's true. So I put this together, so the FMB Anchorage Advisory Committee Charter, I put information from the code and also the letter I received when I got on the committee. Then a bunch of information from, the Maritime Operations staff, at that time it was Austin. On page 4, I started to detail out responsibilities, and this is based on what is in that code. And then on pages 5 and 6, I actually listed out all of the responsibilities as it's stated in the code, and then kind of put a for consideration column there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did some strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then deliverables. That's a lot of stuff. I know you guys probably haven't taken a deep look at it, but if you could take a look at it and we can talk about it next time, and just come and mark up your copy and say, you know what, I don't think we should do this. This doesn't seem like it should be our responsibility, or hey, we're really missing this opportunity. This is very much a collaborative effort. I
This is
just
a lot
put-
of work.
I just put everything I know in here so that it's in one place rather than 16 different
Yes,
documents.
I agree. Thank you very much.
You're
Yes.
welcome. Hopefully this is helpful.
Ooh, don't touch that again. Curtis, if you'd be so kind to print up a hard copy of what Chris put together for
Yeah.
the next meeting, so we can have
Absolutely.
something to pencil and pen and work on, especially for us old school types.
I prefer
Thank you
paper
for
too.
doing all that. I have to confess, I missed that May 16th, those attachments, so I'm gonna go back
I
and look
did
at those.
too.
Yeah.
I did too,
Okay,
but they're there.
they're there. Okay, well, good. Well, then we don't have to belabor that and talk about these if you haven't, you know, you're not prepared to talk about
I'm
them.
gonna go back and look.
But again, yeah, just really want your input. It's a good time to level set with new town management, with new, you know, leadership for Curtis and the mooring field. And I just think we have a really good opportunity to figure out what it is we would like to suggest our responsibilities are. At the same time, understanding what we're legally obligated to do, because I know that we have to have a committee as per our submerged land lease agreement, at least that seems like it's evident. So we need to work with Nancy to make sure that we substantiate what we legally have to do with what we really think are in the best interest of the town for us to do. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds excellent.
Okay. Alrighty then. I guess we're at member items and reports. Jennifer?
I have just one question. I know that you had said that the ramps on the island are gonna be fixed, and it was on the list.
I'm working on Coconut, that's what I'm trying to get that started now, so,
What is it you do? Do you lay gravel, or to kind of fill in all the holes, or how?
no, they're gonna re-concrete, repave the entire ramp. So what they're probably gonna do is pre-stage a slab already and then have to slide it in and then concrete the rest all the way up,
Yeah,
so.
I'm getting a lot of people asking about it and how, you know, where we're at, and do you have a time
I
frame?
don't,
from
I don't,
here
I'm
on?
trying to just get Coconut started right now, and then after that, then I'm working on the other two
Okay.
ramps,
Okay.
which is yours, Miramar, and then, what's the other
Base,
one?
Bayview.
Yes.
Alrighty.
That's it?
Ron?
I have nothing.
Okay. John?
I have nothing additional.
Okay. Sam?
Couple things. First of all, I heard on the news lately that Marco Island has approved to dredge 100 miles of canal. So,
Okay, it's a good person to contact. you.
yeah,
Mhm.
if we can get some information
Okay.
or just kind of follow that and see what's going on. I did have some comments on dredging when it comes up. normally, I think what they do is they boom an area, because I'm sure Curtis knows this well. Anytime you stir up the bottom, all the oil and everything that's been there for years, decades, comes to the top. You can see it when you just walk through that, and that's boomed off. However, I think it's going to be a little more complicated this time because a lot of the chemicals and things that have settled to the bottom will not float. They'll be going in and out with the tide. I'm not sure what we can do about that. Maybe Chad has some suggestions on how we should handle that. There's regulations with.
There's
with that.
regulations and everything you have to abide by. The biggest thing, we're working in a canal. We can boom a canal off, so it keeps all that oil and contaminants in, so it doesn't drift into the bay. But that's something we would have to discuss and everything and come up with an ideal plan, because after you boom it off, all right, we gotta clean it up after it's done, after we're dredged and everything, right? I mean, that's
And worry about
a lot of
the
work, a lot of
spoil.
steps, you know what I mean? I think, I understand where you're getting at with that. That is a concern and stuff like that, but I think the biggest hurdle is, for us, is getting to the dredging point,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, let's just get to there first, you know?
Right.
I think we got a lot of hurdles ahead of us, and it's gonna be some time, you know, before all this, you know, takes flight, so.
And
But,
most
but
of-
I hear you. You are absolutely right, Sandy. You know, that is something to be aware of. That's something that we need to protect, and we don't want. I mean, you know, I don't want all that stuff going back on our back base. You know what I mean? I
And
wanna-
the spoil, if we put it somewhere, well, you'll handle that when it comes up.
correct.
Most
Correct. That's
importantly-
all. Once dredging, these are all topics that are going to be talked about within the dredging of when
Yeah.
that project happens. Absolutely.
Most importantly, wanted to congratulate Curtis on making it 1 year
Thank you.
with
thank
us.
I
You
appreciate
are the
that.
master of multitasking.
I'm trying to get better at that.
Returning to Cruisers Day,
Okay.
I never made a evaluation. I was asked what I thought of it. It took me a while. The day went like a well-oiled machine. Chris did a beautiful job of keeping things together. The cruisers appeared to have a positive relationship with Curtis and a respect for Curtis, which serves the town well. His comments from the stage indicated high regard for the cruisers. Tina Jumpy served as registration desk and interacted with voters as she has for previous years. She worked many years as a university professor and has a good idea of people's feelings. Tina reports that these cruisers seemed appreciative of the event, including the lunch and prizes and from local prizes from local businesses, and they liked the town was being brought to them. So my goal of honoring the cruisers, I believe, was fulfilled.
Good.
The attendees were a different group than we've had in past years. Townspeople and less voter townspeople. And the opportunity to present the mooring field to a new group of town people, I believe, was positive. Thoughts about next year. To present to the crowd benefits of the mooring field to the town. And make that a theme for next year is, we did the cruisers this year, and maybe make that something next year. The Matanzas Pass mooring field was installed to deal with the large number of uncontrolled anchored vessels on the waters of Fort Myers Beach. It has reduced the problem to a significant degree. The presence of the mooring field and its equipment and trained and certified personnel provide assets for use throughout the waters of Fort Myers Beach. These resources are supported in part by income from the renters and by multiple water-related grants that might not be available without the mooring field being present. And that's the point I wanted to make, is that the mooring field does more for the town than just being a mooring field. And it does clean up the waters by the pump outs they do, and it also enables many other things in the town that they don't get credit for.
That's terrific. Thank you, Ted. Would you be able to send a copy of that to Curtis so he can send it to all of us? Oh, you've got copies for everybody? Oh,
I'd like to add to that Tina has been doing this for years, and she should be an honorary member of this committee. She did a great job, and she has for
Wanna hand
Uh,
as
those
many
that way?
years as we've been doing this party, so thank you, Tina.
You wanna hand those? Oh,
Thank
you've
you,
got
she
it,
was
okay.
great help.
And on that note, we were talking about when we want, do you need one more for, you need one more,
Yep.
Curtis? One more this way. There we go. We were talking about perhaps doing it earlier next year. Easter is April 5th, so do we want, let's just think about it, maybe we can talk about it at next meeting. Do we wanna do it the week before April, the week after April? We'll have to look and see what's on the calendars to make sure we don't conflict with anything, but April 5th, 2026, Easter.
April 5th.
That's what said in my calendar.
Okay. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe the last week of March we do it? I don't know. I mean, we have time to discuss,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
but,
I'll make my usual recommendation the week after Easter,
okay.
and that's been the usual recommendation for all the reasons of traffic and people getting there, and hopefully everybody isn't gone from the mooring field by then.
Right.
And it'd still be
That's
2
wh-
weeks earlier than we did it.
Correct.
Right.
So that might be to our advantage, you know what I mean?
It's so difficult to do it with traffic coming on the beach
Oh, that's
before
tr-
Easter.
But I
because-
see what you're saying. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but the fact that Easter's earlier this year, it does work out. We get a better attendance with the earlier Easter. over
Because
the
I
years.
think if we were like 2 to 3 weeks earlier on that, we would have had
Yeah.
a lot more boaters.
Well, I will check and see if there's anything on the calendar already. I'll check with the chamber and other places and see if
Okay.
there's anything going on.
Sounds good.
How many voters attended, do we know?
I think we had 19 boats
yes,
represented
yes.
and about 35 people.
It was in one of the reports,
Yeah,
it was. But, when it comes to the traffic deal for cruises, there's no traffic on the water. It's Cruisers Appreciation Day.
But
They're not
all
coming
those
across the
vendors. that
Yeah, the
want to be
vendors
around.
and stuff like that, yeah.
Sure.
and
Around me. Marine operations question,
Okay.
that might be for Chad. When you go in the back bay,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see several different types of seawalls. You'll see concrete seawalls, you see steel seawalls, and many people just have riprap. Is there regulations into what product somebody's supposed to use when repairing or replacing a seawall?
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure
Okay.
on what product. I know that now that I think there is, and don't quote me, there's something that I need to look up, but I spoke with a resident, and they just got their seawall built, and they had to put riprap in front of the seawall after the seawall was done to
Right.
protect it. And
what
she
is
said that
riprap?
Yes.
Rocks.
rocks
Okay.
like
Okay.
those concrete, they look like they're just
Okay.
concrete sandbags almost looking like,
Okay.
and they're stacked up on top of each other. It's just another layer of protection
Okay.
for the seawall. And I think that might be something that people have to abide by now. But I will look into that. I don't know the regulations on that, and that's something that I could maybe ask Chad too. But that's
Sure.
something I can look up, and I'll I can have that answer for you next
Okay.
meeting, or I can look it up and email you as well.
Perfect, and then just one other comment, I noticed that you brought a boat bumper with you
I
today?
found it on the beach, and
Oh,
so
so
I'm
you brought
gifting
it.
it to Curtis. That was one
Just
of my
thought it was
daily.
very symbolic for the Anchorage committee to have a boat bumper, we should have probably put it up, up here somewhere.
Yeah, we should have, but it washed up on my beach last week, and I'm like, well, that is
It
too
looks
nice
brand
to.
new.
I know, that
Yeah.
is too nice to just throw away,
Yeah.
so
Very nice,
there you have it.
that's all I had, thank you.
Okay. Jim, I have something for you, the derelict boat legislation. Do you wanna say anything about that? You sent, I think you sent me an email about that, or just, that it was,
I believe there was an article about it.
okay?
Boy, I'm having a senior moment right now. I remember it was being interesting, and I know it related to helping enforcement. I think I sent it to Curtis too, I
Okay.
think, and to Tom Yazzo, but I think it helps local municipalities enforce the derelict boat dynamic with additional tools, et cetera. But I don't remember, Curtis, can you help me? I don't remember exactly what the definitive change agent was in that legislation, but I know it was designed to be helpful.
Yes, correct. So they're putting together a program where it's gonna be easier to, remove the derelict vessels and something that, because there's a lot of them in the state of
Yeah.
Florida right now, so, especially with all the storms that we've had, so they're gonna, what they're doing with that is it's gonna hold the owners responsible more. So, and that's something I'm looking into and I'm working with the town attorneys on with as well, to get a process for us and who we are going to contact, to help us with the derelict vessels, which is most likely gonna be, LCSO and FWC, but,
I think I sent it to the attorneys and the sheriff as well.
You did, yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
I
all
saw
coming
that.
back to me now.
But I think that
Sorry.
is still, I think that whole project is still being, the FWC thing is still being kind of, they're still trying to figure it out a little bit, is from what my understanding is.
Okay.
On that note, that vessel that's on ball 48 or
47,
47,
yes.
that, I think I told you, I don't know if I told you, but I think I did. That vessel was formerly owned by the chairman of this committee, Jay and Kathy Light. She was an original member. She was a chairman up until, as far as I've been on the committee, until Ian, where their house got destroyed. They sold that boat maybe a month before Ian. So that owner should be easy to contact. If you want the information, I'm sure Kathy has, I'm sure the state probably has it.
I think it's out of their hands by this point, Sam. Like,
It-
I think the
yeah.
state it's in the state's matter now, or, you know, because I know LCSO is just waiting. It's in the paperwork process to get removed right now.
It is,
So,
okay.
yes,
'Cause
yes.
I feel
It's
like
already
that's a
tagged.
liability.
It's
I-
been tagged. It's had a red tag
Yeah.
probably for a year now.
I feel like it's a liability for the town because it is within the confines of our
Correct.
area.
I have a question about derelict boats. Is it considered a derelict boat if people are living on it?
No.
Or is it?
people are.
No.
Or is it just abandoned boats that no one is near or on? Is that, I mean, obviously that's considered a derelict boat, but if, someone is just out there living on a boat that is obviously not in good, shape, is that considered a derelict boat?
It is not, because they are occupying
They're
it, and it is, I mean, if they're living on it, it's a means of
So even if it's
Some-
not seaworthy,
somewhat
being-
livable. I
okay.
mean, if it's floating or living on it, it should be somewhat seaworthy and float, so it's
Yeah.
not necessarily a derelict vessel.
You're generally allowed to anchor anywhere in Florida other than our mooring field or private property.
Yeah.
That's
But we have designated anchorages here that we push them to keep the boats rather not scattered all over.
Or if it's seaworthy or not, that's a Coast Guard issue.
okay. All right. I don't have anything else. You have
No,
something
I'm
else?
sorry, so is seaworthy meaning that it still floats, or?
There's a whole set of regulations, that too much to go into now, but there's a whole set of regulations that you have to.
Because derelict and abandoned vessels can go hand in hand, you know?
Does a boat have to have a yearly registration?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, I'm living on my boat, I forgot 5 years ago. Is anything ever done?
If the Coast Guard or LCSO comes up, I mean, for me, if you're standing,
Yeah,
you won't be allowed to stand my mooring field if,
Cause you require registration.
yes, current registration and insurance as well, minimum of 100,000 liability.
So FWC, Sheriff's Department, Coast Guard, they would all have the responsibility, or I don't wanna call it the responsibility, the opportunity to determine if it's got what it's supposed to have on it.
However, I understand there's legislation either passed or there that they can't board a boat unless there's probable cause.
Correct.
I don't know what probable
That
cause
just
is.
changed too.
Yeah.
That just came out.
And that's gonna be a mess, cause you can't send I guess the Coast Guard can still do it. I think that's state people that are restricted.
Yeah, I don't know what departments have certain jurisdictions over what they are allowed to do. I haven't seen
Yeah,
those
but
lists of.
basically, no state people or local people can board a boat without,
I was told the Coast Guard can board any vessel.
Yeah,
at
they
any
used to-
time.
they
Correct.
stopped the
That's, I mean,
random,
that's always been the case.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
you know
used to
what I
do
mean?
random checks with. the-
Correct.
But
Yeah,
they're-
boat checks and stuff like that.
that's what they're contesting.
yeah. So you can't go
Like-
out and find out what's going on.
And you're saying like probable cause? Probable cause says, hey, I don't see a throwable, PFD on board.
Maybe.
You know
The
what I
Coast
mean?
Guard, yes.
That's been like, well, I
Yeah,
didn't
I
see
knew
it. You
that.
have to have a throwable out,
Yeah.
for eyes to see. And if they go by, they don't see it, that's kinda, it could be
And
like,
but
hey.
Even if they're not moving.
Yeah. What do you mean, if they're anchored or
Yeah.
whatever? Well, yeah, I don't think they would mess with that. I feel like it's operating vessels,
I
right?
was thinking of going aboard vessels that were
Anchored, word?
anchored and looked derelict.
I got you.
You
Okay.
always have the opportunity of proving that they are not dumping overboard storage.
Yeah, but apparently you can't do that now.
No, you cannot dump overboard.
I mean, you can't go aboard them for that reason,
Are we talking state or federal?
state. State and local.
Any more member comments?
Did you get the email from Jim about the legislation?
About the derelict vessels, yeah, that's what we were all talking
Yeah,
about.
I was just wondering if I could get that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
will,
yeah, yeah.
I will make sure that I reattach it
Okay.
with other stuff and,
Sounds
yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Okay, public comment? I see none. So we'll set next meeting's agenda. I have the following items. It would be the staff report, and maybe there's some progress on the revenue and the occupancy by then. If not,
I hope to have that correct
Okay.
revenue for y'all and know what y'all want next meeting, I promise you. I'll get the occupancy right.
I've got an idea, so after we're done.
Okay.
we'll talk a little bit about the canal source of truth, just get your first run through of that. What am I missing that we think we know? And hopefully by that time, Dave and I will have drafted a letter to go out to Marco and other places about their canals. And then we'll talk through that charter document, and hopefully Tom Yazo can join us for that discussion. That'd be great. And I will double
Absolutely.
check and make sure that we can do it Tuesday, June 17th at 1 p.m. I will talk to Amy after
Okay.
this.
It's
Yes,
not
sir.
public, it's not the public calendar. They have, public safety in the morning.
Okay,
Is all that's on the calendar, so.
okay.
Just as another possible item of discussion, and I would yield to Curtis on this, but since we'll be at the new town hall, we may wanna have the Moss Marina Arches project is approved. There's been some discussions in their development agreement as to whether we would potentially lease some of that for offices, not for upland facilities necessarily, but for maybe offices.
For our office, yes.
Yeah, for our office, and so I think at some point, this committee ought to think about that along with Curtis and Frankie and
Correct. I think right now,
is it
the
premature?
talks, it's a little premature.
Okay.
I
I just
see
didn't know
what
if
you're
it,
saying.
what I was trying to understand is it actually in the development agreement
It
itself?
is.
Okay.
But I mean, we're not set in stone like, hey, that's gonna be our office and that's where we're gonna operate.
It's at least affording us an option. to
But
be-
that is an option, yes, correct. We're doing that in place for us, so that is an option.
I just wanted to make sure
Um,
everybody here was aware of that, yeah.
Now whether, is that the best option or not, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
It's kinda where
I understand,
we're discussing,
Yep.
so.
very good.
Any other agenda item?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Private. The date set for that meeting, was that, think
June 17th at 1, that's what we're trying for.
We're gonna check on that,
Yeah.
and then once we confirm that with Amy to make sure that we can have it on that date,
I have a.
Chris will
doctor's
send me an email and I'll
appointment.
send
You
it out to
Okay.
everybody with the
Fine.
confirmed,
Yeah.
meeting date for June.
I'd also like to ask for an excused absence on that one,
Oh.
provided we have a quorum.
I as
Okay.
well.
All right, well, maybe I will find, so that day just doesn't work for you?
That day does not work for me.
Okay.
From the 14th to the 18th does not
Just
work.
remember, we still have the 23rd. I mean, I know I'm not gonna be here, and I know you're trying to do it for me to be here, but,
Well,
you
I
know.
think it's pretty important for you to be here when we're talking
Well,
about
well,
responsibilities
absolutely,
and stuff.
I agree, but, and also, I mean, for us, like, I want Tom to be here
Yeah.
next meeting, and if that, I mean, he is who I would ask
Okay.
to fill in for me, so.
All right, so how about if I talk to Amy, see what's available on the calendar, so that whole week is bad for you.
Just through the 18th.
And then Curtis, you're out, when you start, the 30th,
The 20th,
the 20th?
the 20th to the 30th is when I'll be
Okay,
here.
so we basically need to meet like in 2 weeks. All right, well, we'll see. Okay, let me see what I can find. I will do a recap of this meeting, have Curtis send it all out with some suggested dates and times. If we can't make something work, then we'll
We
go
get-
to the 23rd.
Did we shoot down the 30th? Was that not a?
I'm good for the 30th.
I'm good for the 30th.
Good for the 30th.
30th?
Excuse me, I'd rather not do the 30th, but if we have to, we have to, that's
No,
fine.
That's my doctor's week. Boy,
Okay, okay.
Okay.
All right.
okay.
Let me see what I can find. Okay, does anybody want to adjourn this meeting?
I have one more question for Chris, I'm sorry. Where is the Coconut, ramp? I mean, I'm
Down
trying to.
Coconut Street.
I know, where is that? I'm trying to think. Where
There's
is-
2 coconuts though.
Oh,
Oh.
okay, that's,
Hmm.
okay. So where is it on the
Further
island?
south, past Snook Bite and all that. Hold on, I'll bring it
Oh,
up for
okay,
you.
cause I keep coming to Matanzas.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Anybody want to adjourn the meeting?
Sam,
Ed, okay. Do we have a second?
Everybody's ready.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion about adjourning? No, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned, 10:44. Thank you, everyone.